shut and breathed slowly, counting each breath the way she'd been taught, forcing her mind to focus on nothing except the rise and fall of her diaphragm. "It's okay," she whispered. But it wasn't okay. Because when she opened her eyes, the body was still there, exactly where it had been when she first saw it. His head twisted sideways, at an odd angle from the rest of his body. Black blood pooled beneath his crushed skull. More blood splattered over the shingle beach, too much blood. A sound came out of her mouth, somewhere between a moan and a wail as it hit her, finally, that he was dead. No, 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 no. She ran towards him, then stopped. She remembered enough from crime novels and TV programs to know that she shouldn't touch a dead body. She scanned the beach, desperate to see another person out here. Someone strong and reliable, like Clodagh herself had once been, who would take over and make cups of tea and tell her that everything was going to be all right. But apart from Clodagh, the dead man and a squalling squabble of seagulls skimming the surface of the water, the beach was empty. So still and silent, it was easy to believe no one else would ever come here and disrupt the quiet of this lonely place. A pink line on the horizon, where the day met the water, announced the start of a new day. This was the reason she'd come onto the beach, to watch the sunrise. Now, she barely noticed it as her mind went back over the previous day and evening. They'd had the memorial service in the afternoon, sad and moving but uplifting too. The feeling of community she only felt when they came together as a group. The sharp reminder of the fragility of life, knowing how lucky they were to be here. The pain and guilt as they remembered the 160 people who had died. Then later, dinner and drinks, and more drinks. A single memory standing out from the blur of the others, the dizzying lurch of fear when she'd read his text message. "Meet me outside now, we need to talk." Was that why he'd died? Because he'd been out here waiting for her? He'd been drunk, falling over drunk. She tried to picture him, coming out here in the dark, stumbling over the stones and falling backwards. Except there was something about that image that didn't work. In her mind, every time he stumbled, he fell forward. But he was lying on his back, his dead eyes staring up at her. The scar on his left cheek, pale and silver in the early morning light. It didn't seem right. After everything he'd been through, that he was dead. He was a survivor like her. 8 of them, in total. Everyone else on the plane that day had died. Clodagh remembered the moment she'd realised she wasn't the only one. She'd woken up in hospital, dazed and disorientated. No idea where she was or how she'd got there. When she tried to remember, her mind was blank. She knew something bad had happened, but the memory of it was gone. Along with so much else, although she didn't realise that until much later. There was a TV on the wall opposite her bed. 8 photos on the screen, and a man's voice, low and serious, speaking about the terrible tragedy. A shock of recognition, tinged with fear when she saw her own face, some letters beneath. At first, they didn't mean anything, but gradually her brain worked out that the letters spelled her name. There were names beneath each of the photos, including the one next to hers. His face on the TV, nothing like his face now. He looked happy and bursting with life. Running across the bottom of the screen was the headline that would come to define them. The Lucky 8. The survivors of 9/75. She had no idea back then that the phrase would become so widespread that the only people who never used it when talking about the crash were the survivors themselves.